Welcome to Restoring Men in History. Charlie Kirk, the day he was shot, was wearing a shirt. What did it say on the front of it? Freedom. And you know what's important to freedom? And we have some clips of Charlie Kirk talking about it. Free speech. If you don't have free speech, you don't have what? Much freedom. And the founders fought for that. They stood for it. So we're going to give you some clips of Charlie Kirk talking about that. And what does free speech include? Charlie's own words, hate speech. But some people are trying to use it to shut down speech, and it makes perfect sense. Look what they did during COVID. Never forget it. Never forget you couldn't go to your prom. You couldn't go to your football games. You didn't have it because the powers that be decided you shouldn't go and shut that down. Where was that coming from? Governments. Your governments were shutting you down. And they didn't even want you to be able to express your thoughts about it and talk and oppose their narrative. So free speech, we've seen how important it is, right? You lived through it. So let's go into the first clip of Charlie Kirk talking. And some people, well, how do they try to do it? They can do it through, California has that bill going through. They want to fine social media companies. You can try to the federal government could try to take Section 230 away. So there's many ways to attack free speech. Let's go into clip one, Charlie Kirk.
Free speech is helpful to find out what we as a society really believe. Allowing hate speech, allowing people to say things that are really outside of the norm actually serves a function, because then it realizes what you don't believe. It realizes what should be rejected peacefully and respectfully. When you start to subjectively silence people because they embrace hate speech, all of a sudden you're going to get into a society that will look very close to 1984 George Orwell, where you're going to be policing everyone's thought and speech. The best solution to hate speech, and of course there's hate speech out there, is more speech, not less speech. The best solution to ideas that you don't disagree with is respectfully saying your ideas back to someone in a way that is peacefully and is articulated in a way that makes sense. It's not to do what the new modern American left, which is turning into a quasi-fascist authoritarian movement, which is to shout down speakers that you disagree with, which is to believe there's only one set of ideas, and then base your entire political movement on feelings, not on facts.
So free speech helps us hear what? Other people's ideas. It helps you express your ideas. Now, of course, why would the powers that be not want that? And what does he talk about? On college campuses for many, many years, you've had one-sided arguments done in the classrooms with professors that are pushing their narrative. Notice what he says. He says it peacefully and respectfully. Reject the hate speech, but we need it to be part of free speech. Or you get what? What does he say? 1984. Read that book if you haven't read it. It's a fantastic book. Big Brother, Ministry of Truth, really, which I call the Ministry of Untruths, or the Ministry for Dishonesty, right? I want to read this quote. Now, I will tell you, this is from 1984. Now, I will tell you the answer to my question. It is this. The party seeks power entirely for its own sake. We are not interested in the good of others. We are interested solely in power, pure power, 1984. Now remember, and you've heard both sides of the aisle, Pam Bondi on Newsom and others attacking free speech and wanting hate speech and regulation and all this. So many different people coming out against different things, wanting different things. To curtail speech, though, it's all the same. So if you were in power or you're incumbent, you don't need a lot of free speech, right? You have the power. Or if you're the big donors or if you're the powers behind it and you want to push your narrative like, hey, don't put up the Hunter Biden story. You know, you want to send some FBI agents over to Twitter or Facebook and say, hey, watch this story. We want to control this. We want to control the narrative, right? And it happened during COVID. You lived through it, right? So there's ways where they try to break the First Amendment. Mark Zuckerberg talked about it. We're not going to play that clip. Hunter Biden laptop, COVID, harming what in the end? Your freedom, your ability to express yourself. So think about 10,000 people on X today or 10,000 people on Instagram or whatever social media posting one thing and one person watches it. And it creates an idea in their head. And they say, hey man, that's a pretty good idea. That is your ability to express yourself and maybe move someone over to your opinion. Or introduce them to a fact they did not know that they were only getting government misinformation from. So look and watch whenever government is trying to say under the illusion of security or this is for the kids or whatever line they're using. Usually I've seen it's trying to shut down your ability to express yourself, hear other ideas, and go against the government narrative or the powers that be narrative. Let's go on to the next clip.
Wondering if you
go.
could talk about where you draw the line with free speech, hate speech, and slander.
It's a terrific question. My position is that even hate speech should be completely and totally allowed in our country. The most disgusting speech should absolutely be protected. And it's not a viewpoint that is held by the left. The ACLU used to hold this viewpoint. The American Civil Liberties Union, they sued so that legitimate Nazis could march through downtown Skokie. You remember this? Back in the 80s and 90s? Now, why would the ACLU do this? Because they said as soon as you use the word hate, that is a very subjective term. It is in the implementation of whomever has the power. So here's my belief. The more speech, the better. As soon as you shut up hate speech, those people only get more powerful. And this is the unintended consequence of censorship. You give more credence to the silenced person the moment you shut them up, because then they can play the victim and they say, they're trying to shut me up because I have something that everyone else wants and I'm a threat to them. No, you're not. You're just a fool. And those people have too much power.
So there's Charlie Kirk on hate speech. In his own words, hate speech needs to be allowed. Why? For your ability to hear all the ideas. And here's the main thing that I've always talked about. I've always said this: who's going to define hate speech? Can't be the federal government because of the First Amendment. They can't do it. They're prohibited from it. But who would you want? The party in power? We don't want the party in power doing it either, because, right, they're going to have the incentive to push their own narratives, push their own policies, and just get those facts out. And again, you lived through it through COVID. We don't even have to go and Mockingbird and other, but powerful people, powerful donors and people seem to want to control the narrative, and they have. And here's a point from Cato's letters, number 15. This sacred privilege is so essential to free government that the security of property and the freedom of speech always go, what? Together. You don't have freedom of speech, he's saying you don't have property, right? And in those wretched countries where a man cannot call his tongue his own, he can scarce call anything else his own. Pretty powerful. Whoever would overthrow the liberty of the nation must begin by subduing the freedom of speech, a thing terrible to public traitors. Powerful, right? Cato 15, Cato's letter. So the First Amendment is what? Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press. All right? Or of the right of the people to peacefully to assemble. So Charlie Kirk goes out here, he's encountering people, exchanging ideas, having a debate, and that's important. And we don't want a state government like California doing it either, so you got to fight in your state to prevent these kinds of laws from impeding your ability to express yourself and hear others' thoughts. SB 771, I don't think we'll go into it, but it targets social media platforms. I heard this on the news. According to this news channel, they could, for the role they could play in aiding and abetting in hate crimes, again, who's going to define how you aided and abetted? Again, this is a way to shut down your speech, is the way I see it. Current law already provides penalties against individual people who aid, or alert, or conspire. All right, so another way just to shut down your free speech. Let's go to the next clip. Go.
Today. And they say that you come here, you're media trained, you've memorized all these talking points, and I just kind of wanted to question, like, are you truthfully here to try to change people's minds, or is there kind of a benefit to keeping people divided? Like, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, do you think it's better for the country to be divided ideologically, or is it preventing a more progressive debate?
Well, I guess, how am I dividing people if I ask you if you disagree, you come to the mic? How is that divisive?
Well, no, I'm just saying it's like you have these clickbaity titles. It says prove me wrong. Your critics are saying that you're trying to keep people divided. They're urging people not to come talk to you because you're going to spin it. What would you like to say to your critics?
They're welcome to come to the microphone and say whatever they want to me, but they're intellectual cowards and they won't do that.
Yeah.
Okay, you know how we heal our divides? By talking to people we disagree with.
I would agree with that.
We will get closer to a civil war if we act like that.
So anyone can come up to the mic and debate him. You can have a Marxist professor, you can have a communist professor, he'll debate anybody. So he's trying to have a healthy debate where the students can hear, and we need to hear others' thoughts. And he says that society needs to talk about this. So he doesn't want, again, Pam Bondi or any other white person coming out against it. He doesn't want free speech shut down, and this is the point of this video. He doesn't want it shut down. I've given you his words. He wants to talk about ideas and not call names. Free speech on campus is good for America. Free speech is good for America. So if your ideas don't work and you're not as good, you're probably not going to want those debates, right? So if our ideas are better, if the free market's better than communism, what do you think is going to happen? They're not going to want to debate us. If we can pull out all the stats. Let's go on to the next clip.
We just yell at people we don't like. You dress with, I guess I'm in all black, but, with masks on and just with stupid epitaphs. Okay, like that's how you get closer to dividing the country. You heal the country when you allow disagreement and you allow a microphone with people that have differing views.
But I think when you come out and you say like civil war and you use these like fear-mongering words, I feel like you're definitely trying to like get people like riled up, and that helps.
I mean, it's 100% factual. We're close to a civil war in this country, and I don't want that to happen. And people that act like that are going to further radicalize both sides, and you de-radicalize a population through speech.
I would say that conversation and media and like spreading the word definitely like that's like how you bridge the gap. But like,
So what's Charlie talking about? Healing the country? He doesn't think you can get along if you don't have open debates and you don't have discussions. He thinks it will get worse and worse, that you've got to allow different views. And my main concern is further dividing us, or one of my concerns is further dividing us, keeping us fighting. And the people with power stay in power or gain more power, increase control. And we don't want to live in 1984, right? We don't want to live in Brave New World. Read those books. They're fantastic, by the way. They're awesome. Healing, talking. You talk to somebody, you hear them, you talk face to face especially. But they also want social media companies down, and it makes perfect sense, right? If you want to control the narrative, you can't have, like I said, you and 1,000 people going on there making one post that even one person reads if you have the facts or the truth. And Charlie would put these clips up on social media. So social media is important to maintain and keep. And some people are blaming social media. Whomever was responsible for this did it and acted. Not social media. Social media is important to freedom, for ability to express yourself. Here's Pam Bondi. We'll play in about 9 seconds of this. Go.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie in our society.
So the answer is more free speech, not less. Charlie Kirk said that too. Let's go on. Here is Rob Schneider at a Turning Point event. We'll just play his clip. Go.
Everything that you're saying in a way?
Yes, I do believe everything I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that's a bad faith question. I do. Because your assumption is that we are insincere in our beliefs. But the only benefit that we have here, to come here today, is to talk to people like yourself, because we love our country. The woman that you're supporting, Kamala Harris, they said that free speech, they describe it as a privilege. Now, this is either they're constitutionally ignorant or they're knowingly false. It is a guaranteed First Amendment right for all Americans. It is not a privilege like a driver's license. When you are born in America, you have the right to speak your mind. And it isn't the nice stuff that needs protecting. It's the stuff that everybody disagrees with. If someone's going to decide what free speech that you say and what I say, if it's going to be the government, they're always going to do what's best for the government. So we need to protect all speech. And I'm going to protect your right to free speech. I'm going to protect your right to vote any way that you want from the highest mountain. Always. I will do that.
So the point I want to mention here, because there's the First Amendment and there's the state constitution of Virginia where they protected it, but I don't want to get into that. I want to get into this first. The point I want to talk to is where he talks about government. If it's going to be the government determining free speech, they are always going to do what? What is best for government, right? If they want to control a narrative, they're going to push others out or shut them down like they did. And you saw it in the Twitter files. You can go read those in the court cases there. Remember COVID. Never, ladies and gentlemen, forget what they did during COVID. You lived through it. School boards, organizations, and even the organizations like the WHO, UN, CDC, never forget how they pushed narratives and shut down opposing views so that you couldn't think and hear other viewpoints. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. We read that. There was also the Virginia. So Virginia proceeded, right? They wrote their state constitution before, and Virginia had protected their freedom of speech. They said that the freedom of the press is one of the great bulwarks of liberty and can never be restrained but by despotic government. So listen to what they're saying. Virginia, George Mason and other guys in Virginia, well before the Constitution was ever written, well before that First Amendment, put it in to protect Virginians. So you want it in your state constitution too. But this protected Virginians, and I'm going to read it again, it's so important, that the freedom of the press is one of the great bulwarks of liberty. Charlie Kirk had that freedom shirt. It's one of the great bulwarks of liberty and can never be restrained but by despotic governments. So the First Amendment written to restrain the federal government when it was written. The state Constitution of Virginia was written to restrain what? The state government of Virginia. Charlie Kirk was for free speech. That included hate speech. Be careful of the people ruling over you when they want to curtail free speech and they say it's for the kids, or they say it's for your freedom, or they say it's for security. And they want to do hate speech laws or fine social media companies or take Section 230 away. Charlie Kirk was for free speech, and that included hate speech. And whom would it hurt if they penalized social media companies? It would probably penalize you, individuals, from what you're posting, because what would happen? Social media companies would have to be tentative, prepare for more lawsuits, and that would curtail free speech. If you like this subject, please like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you.